Wow, look at that. Wilson Peak lies within the San Juan Range and is part of the group of mountains that is home to the westernmost 14ers in Colorado, which also includes 14ers Mount Wilson and El Diente Peak. The view here shows Wilson Peak from the northwest along the Rock of Ages Trail approach in Silver Pick Basin, while this view shows it from higher in the basin. Here, the top of the mountain can be seen from the Rock of Ages saddle at 13,000 feet. This distant view shows the Wilson Group from the summit of Mount Sneffels to the northeast, with Wilson Peak situated toward the north of the massif. The even more distant view shown here was taken from Red Cloud Peak to the east. As the Hayden Survey was wrapping up its season of work in the San Juans in 1874, a contingent that included Chief Topographer A.D. Wilson made the first known ascent of nearby Mount Wilson on September 13th, the mountain having been thus named just prior to this. Wilson's accomplishments both before and after this are quite considerable. Among these, he worked under Josiah Whitney on the Geologic Survey of California in the 1860s, and then on the geologic exploration of the 40th parallel before joining the Hayden Survey. After this, he became the chief topographer of the newly formed U.S. Geological Survey, which consolidated all the individual surveys into one agency, and also worked as the chief topographer for the Northern Transcontinental Railway Survey. Wilson Peak, it would seem, didn't acquire its name until it first appeared on a USGS map in the early 1900s, making A.D. Wilson the only person to be recognized on 2 Colorado 14ers. While the circumstances of the first ascent of the mountain are unknown, it was likely first climbed by miners, as the area became part of the silver mining boom that reached the range in the early 1880s. The most prominent of the numerous mines of the day, though named the Silver Pick, was actually primarily a gold mine. An aerial tram once carried ore from high in Silver Pick Basin all the way down to a mill. A stone building was constructed to house miners near the upper endpoint of the tram line, the remnants of which still exist. Wilson Peak is a fairly challenging mountain to climb, primarily because of the Class 3 climbing and significant route finding on the upper reaches. Beginning from the Rock of Ages trailhead, which is relatively high and presents the easiest approach if you're climbing Wilson Peak only, the endurance stats are low to mid-range. The route is accessible by way of other trailheads and approaches, such as the Navajo Lake approach to the southwest, but all of these involve higher endurance stats. On this occasion, which was my first time in the Wilson Group, I used the Rock of Ages trailhead, the directions to which are shown here. Anyway, enjoy the footage. So probably about a mile back there, I turned right off of Highway 145 and onto Silver Pick Road, which is a dirt road I've got to go about 4 miles on, and then turn onto another dirt road for a little over another 2 miles, and then, as I understand, another dirt road after that for a little over 2 miles again, and then to get to the trailhead. So about 8 miles or a little more to go to get to the trailhead. The Silver Pick Road is pretty good so far, so we'll see how the rest of this goes. And at this point I have turned right from the Silver Pick Road and onto Road 59H, otherwise known as Forest Service Road 622, which is a little bit rougher and narrower than the last road. I got to go a couple miles or more on this before the next turn. So not too far back there, the road forked, and I took the right fork. It looked a little more like the main road, and I'm hoping that was where the road 645 branched off of 622, so I hope I'm on the right track. 622 got fairly rough in places, and this stretch of road is also, as you can see, fairly rough, but still pretty passable in this car. So hopefully I'm on the right track. Okay, so just after that I've reached this sign, which I think is the actual right turn that I was referring to, access to Wilson Peak and Rock of Ages trailhead. So I'm going to take a right here. Hopefully this doesn't get too much rougher. This final stretch of road has had some rough spots to it. You actually have to drive across a creek back there too, which didn't present, today it didn't present much of a problem, but I should be almost to the trailhead, I think. And it's about 5:55 in the morning, just starting out on the Rock of Ages trail from the Rock of Ages trailhead. It is still fairly dark, but don't need a flashlight. Just after the beginning, you reach this sign. I don't know if you can read it, but the trail goes off to the right. I want to stay to the left and pass around this gate in order to continue toward Wilson Peak. This initial stage of the path has me going in a south-southwest direction, and today, in order to climb Wilson Peak, I think I'm looking at something like 3,900 feet in total elevation gain, and I believe something like 8 round-trip miles or slightly more. So fairly mild on the endurance stats, although there is some class 3 climbing involved up higher, so that'll be interesting. The trailhead is about 10.4, so that tends to reduce the endurance stats. Anyway, yeah, we'll see how this goes today. Rock of Ages Trail 429. Maybe close to 10.5 or so at this point. And the path does veer into a south-southwest direction at some point here. Still roughly south overall though. And some switchbacks in here as I continue south-southeast. Well, trail up to this point has just basically been steady, moderate incline. You can see some of the vistas start to open up here up to those high rocks. So yeah, as you can see, the path has taken quite a dramatic turn towards a rockier. So I'm up here probably nearing 11,000 and reach this intersection. Elk Creek Trail goes down to the right. Don't take that. Continue upward. Yeah, I'm up here close to 11,000, like I said, about a mile into this. And now I'm gonna take a hard left and continue up the trail here. I have been up to this point going through Elk Creek Basin, and now I will be headed up the side of this ridge, and that will take me into Silver Pick Basin on the other side. Still headed moderately but steadily northeast up the side of this rocky ridge. It looks like the path has left the talus for now, and we're going back into a wooded area. Still going through the woods again. I believe I've reached 11.3, maybe 11.4, and have started to veer more in a southeast direction. And I am now into Silver Pick Basin. Look at that. So just after veering to the northeast, you enter on into this more level stretch of path here in Silver Pick Basin. And you even descend a little bit here. That snowbank that the trail goes under. Hopefully there's not too much of this today. You can see here in Silver Pick Basin, the path has become more a road, and right here, don't go down that road, stay up along this road. As you can see, this rocky road has some twists and turns, but pretty much veers southeast overall. Looks like there's a snowbank coming up. Gotta go across. It'd be fun. I'm coming up to that aforementioned snowbank. Doesn't look like it should be too bad. Pretty solid. And now this road is ascending a little more steeply. Still a pretty steep incline up this road. Still coming up this steep road. We switch directions again. I've arrived up here at about 12:01, I think, and it's my understanding once I reach this dilapidated stone building here, which looks kind of neat, once I reach this, you have to find a path that goes off the road to the left and leads you eventually up to that saddle up there at about 13,000. So from here to that, we got almost 1,000 feet. So let's see if I can find this path. Like I said, just after that stone building, I'm going to take this left here at this cairn, and I think this looks like the path. It's going to go initially toward the east, looks like across this snowbank. Back onto some rock again. So after that initial brief eastward stretch after the trail branch off, I think I veered more back in a southeast direction across this talus. It's more gently sloping right now, but pretty soon up here it's going to get more real as I make my way up toward the Rock of Ages saddle there. It'll get more real, and up, it'll be up in there where you see those guys. And keep going. And the path is already getting steeper as I'm making my way up and out of this basin. Yeah, look at that. This part is grueling for sure. Now, looks like the steepness has abated a little bit now that the path is kind of doing these little more gradual switchbacks as opposed to those steeper kind of zigzags back there.
Now's that moment when emerged into the sunshine. As you can see, getting pretty close to the saddle here. This stretch, this upper stretch up to the saddle right here is actually somewhat precarious. We got potentially loose rocks mixed in with mud on the side of this steep slope here, so yeah, be careful. So I'm on a little more solid path now after that back there, and I think coming up to the Rock of Ages saddle here at about 13,000 feet. And look at that amazing vista opening up. Mount Wilson there, and El Diente Peak next to it. I think that's Gladstone Peak there. And up there towards Wilson Peak. I'm going to stop here for a minute and do the snack water thing, and then head the rest of the way up, rest of the 1,000+ feet up.
So from here at the Rock of Ages saddle near 13,000 feet, you can see the top of the mountain, but much of the remaining route is hidden by the intervening rock. The next stage is to go along this more level initial stretch of the ridge. Then you traverse to the right and up to the part of the saddle shown here between Wilson Peak and 13 or Gladstone Peak.
I'm going across the initial stretches here near the top of the ridge. So I believe I have reached the point where I leave the ridge crest and traverse to the right and avoid this rocky high point right there. So far this traverse isn't too bad. Kind of loose-ish sand though. Hasn't been bad yet. Yeah, I just kind of go up through these kind of slabs and ledges here. Looks like a stack of books or something. And there do appear to be some cairns in addition to, so far it's fairly discernible path. There's a cairn right there. Now, try going over this way. So the path did get a little confusing back there, and you wouldn't want to get too far off of it, otherwise you'd be potentially caught up in these loose rocks and steeper rocks and dirt. You don't want to do that. Parts of this you can tell it's the main path because it's got that telltale smaller smoothed out rocks. Alright, looks like I'm coming up to the smaller saddle up there that I pointed out from the main Rock of Ages saddle. Okay, here I am at this smaller saddle between 13er or Gladstone Peak right over there and Wilson Peak up there. So from here at the smaller saddle at 13.3, I'm going to now head not only back into the sunshine but around to the south side of the mountain and turn more toward the north, where I had been going more east than southeast. I'm going to head toward the north here, and as I understand it, I'll be facing some class 3 sections of rock as I make my way, traverse my way up higher, up I think toward that opening where I can see two gentlemen up there. I expect this to be a pretty intensive route finding section. Yeah, I think I see some cairns up there. Get my way through this. Right back up around here. Yeah, this looks better. Okay. There's some challenging moves along this traverse so far. Definitely some route finding. Yeah. Let's check it out down here. And through here, I'm just kind of trying to follow what sections of path there appear to be, and what pliant little ledges there are to stand on. I'm wondering if I've gotten too low. I'm not sure. At any rate, I think I'm going to try to get back up here, try to get back up a little higher. Okay. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, I think I see a reasonable way forward along through this section. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like he must have to go up here, because obviously down wouldn't be an option right now. So loose rocks. Here we go. cairn, along with a stretch of these kind of evened out rocks I talked about before. Well, okay. A nifty little slab here. See that sizable cairn up there. Still traversing along the south side of the ridge, probably in a more northeast direction after that initial north stretch, right after that small saddle. I think I'm pretty close to reaching the ridge proper up there. Lower or higher? I see a large cairn over there. I think I see a reasonable path across toward it, so I go this way. Okay, reach the ridge proper once again. So from the ridge proper once again here at 13.5, 13.6, I am going to resume around on the right side or south side. From looking at this, you can tell that's going to be the option. My understanding is I'm going to go up like this until about 13.8, at which point I will go over to the other side of the ridge. Path is, I'd say, reasonably discernible on this stretch. Pretty steep right here. Another vista off to the other side, but I'm not yet at the point where I cross over. Continue up right here. All right, continuing up the traverse now. Yeah, looks like I went this way. All right. Here I'm at the ridge again. Reached about 13.8. And next, I go up to that false summit right ahead of me there. Alright, I'm going to start my way up to the false summit there. Looks like kind of a gnarly stretch in its own right. Wow. And potential looseness here. Dirt, loose rocks. Looks like rocks to grab onto though. Well, I think I'm going to try the left. But anyways, here I am at the false summit, and you're looking at the final pitch of this right there. My understanding is you somehow make your way over to the rock that's just to the right of that gash, that crack in the rock, and you make your way up the rock just to the right of that, and then eventually up there you kind of veer up to the top and then go along the top to the summit from there. Alright, I'm going to come down off this false summit, and I believe the way you have to get from here over to the final pitch is down and to the left. You have to descend a little bit. Looks a little precarious, but you can do it. Just be methodical. There's back up that. Go back up it later. Way back up this part, looks like. Now this looks interesting. I don't like either of these options. Let me just step over here and take a look what's down here. I don't think I want to try to go directly down that. It looks like down around here is what I'm looking at. Okay. So that appears to be the aforementioned crack in a rock that I showed you from back there. And I have to admit, going up to the right of that doesn't look as daunting from down right here as it did from that false summit. So yeah, in a second I'm gonna give that a shot. All right, so this mountain has been quite the experience so far, and so now I'm going to see if I can't make my way up this final 100 or so vertical feet to the top. Well, see, I'm on the right of the crack, but that doesn't mean there aren't going to be a few options to the right of it. I mean, I could try over there. I think I'm going to go up this. This is pretty solid right here, actually. Fairly steep, but solid rock. All right, try veering around this left here. Yeah, kind of like the looks of this. Look down that way. Crack over there. This is an interesting little point. Yeah, little foot placement right there. All right. Interesting little move. All right. So I think I'm approaching the top of the crack where I can just follow the ridge line the rest of the way up. Maybe. Try to the right. And try going around that way. Or just up and over this. Try up and over it. Pretty engaging climb. Quite a stretch at the end there, I'll tell you that. Quite a stretch. Beautiful, huh? Well, I'm back down off the false summit, so most of the most precarious stuff I think is over with. Hopefully these clouds here don't amount to much. We get down. Alright, so now I'm starting to come back down some of this rock, some of this class 3-ish rock, just near the 13,300 foot saddle. Yeah. Either backtrack or try to go down this. I definitely didn't come up this way. Yeah. I think I'm going to go back. So I backtracked away from that one position. I think I'm going to try to come up a little higher here and see if I can find a better way across from up higher. All right, I think this looks more promising. Yeah, so precarious. Steep, loose path coming down from the Rock of Ages saddle. Not the most pleasant. So it took about 8 hours and 10 minutes to climb Wilson Peak today, but that includes a lot of factors that added time to it, which I'll get into at the end of this video. Anyways, that was a heck of a challenging mountain to climb, I'll tell you, just from a climbing perspective. Anyways, thanks for watching, and see you on the next mountain.
On this mountain, I thought the most challenging parts of the ascent were of course the crux to the right of the crack, but particularly also the dicey descent of the false summit. On the descent, down climbing the lower crux was likely the hardest part, and indeed probably the biggest challenge of the day overall. On the way down, for some reason I initially started traversing further south along the saddle toward Gladstone Peak from the 13,300 foot saddle instead of heading back toward the Rock of Ages saddle. This added some time to the trip, as well as waiting for another party on the upper stretches and the usual fumblings of documentation. I would imagine the round trip should have taken me more like 7 hours. But regardless, Wilson Peak was another high and engaging San Juan experience.